Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performatech Sleek Graphics, where tonight we travel 40 miles southeast of London to one of the UK's oldest circuits, Brands Hatch. But with a bit of a twist, and we'll share that with you in just a few moments, but it's a facility that turns 96 years young this year, and it started as a grass track for bicycles and motorcycles, though it's seen race cars since 1950, and of course, it has hosted the British Grand Prix 12 times between 1964 and 1986. And well, tonight we're going back in time a little bit. Here's the little kicker, the surprise. And instead of racing the 2.4 mile 9-turn Grand Prix circuit that everyone knows so well, our MX5 racers, they're going to battle it out on the 1.2 mile 6-turn Indy circuit, the original Brands layout that worked so well for those guys using pedal power. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry McLeod joining me in the commentary booth for round 6 and 7 of the Classic Sprint Series. And of course, we've got Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles in action that Apex Racing TV is known for. And so first off, Larry, after 1 week off, actually more than 1 week off, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Oh, it is so cool to be back. And I tell you what, this is going to be one nuts of a race tonight.
Yes, it is. You know, so we've had Sebring, we've had Spa, the Glen, and Phillip Island. All
those
tracks,
big tracks.
Yeah, all these tracks with long straightaways. And, you know, it is, you know, it was a question that I asked Tim Cox a couple of weeks ago when he was sitting in for it. I go, well, when are we going to get to the tracks that can actually show the true MX5 speed? You know, but, you know, now finally we're going to step away from those layouts that have got the long flat out stretches, and much like Knock Hill last season, which I thought was probably the standout race of season 20, we moved to a layout with very quick transitions that highlight the MX5's handling finally.
Yes, it will, and there's certainly not a lot of places to stretch any legs, so this will be the places to definitely see how they take that turn 1 complex plummet down the hill, you know, which is always one of my favorite corners, because if you hit it wrong at the bottom of the hill, it typically sends you into a spin. So lap 1's going to be a whole lot of fun, but after that, it just keeps going with lots of the twisties, and it's going to be side-by-side action. Essentially, it's like the Indy 500, which is why it's called Indy, where you're going to have all this crazy side-by-side things going on, and you know, it's not going to be over till it's over, as they say.
All right, and so, Larry, you know, I don't think it's going to take very long, because word is from practice this week, drivers were rounding this course in the 51-52 second lap time frame here as we watch Brendan Horn and the number 45 machine taking a nice little run through the gravel trap here, coming up towards Druids. But let's do this. Why don't we, as we do every week here in the Classic Sprint Series, let's turn things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to bring you what is a very short and sweet track guide of the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit.
Welcome, everyone, to Brands Hatch Circuit here in beautiful Kent, England. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this, well, shorter version of Brands Hatch. Typically, we run the GP circuit. Today, we'll be running the 1.2-mile Indy circuit. You know, this track originally was built in 1932 as a motorcycle track, and the Indy version was the original design, and it wasn't until post-World War II that the first purpose-built course was built here in England, and that's when they introduced actual motor racing to the circuit. Well, let's head down the front straightaway here. You'll notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right. As we head up the hill, we'll come across the stripe there and head towards the very difficult and blind entry of Turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend. It is like a drop-off here. You literally can feel it in your stomach as you come down the hill there and head up towards Turn 2 of Druids. A very tight hairpin to the right. We'll track out off this corner, get some good speed to head down the hill here to track out right to catch our entrance into Graham Hill Corner. Turn 3, we'll track out off of that corner, head up Cooper Straight. This will take us to Surtees, which would typically take us up through the forest here to the left, but we are going to stay on the Indy circuit to the right, come up through clearways here, and this will bring us right back to the final corner of Clark Curve as we head back down the front straightaway here. Very long, very fast, but it is a short and quick journey around the Indy circuit of Brands Hatch. There you go. There's your track guide. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you very much to Kevin Ford for giving me that extended bathroom break. I really appreciate it, Kevin. Larry, that did not take very long.
No, I think you could probably take a golf cart around here, and it would still only take about 2 minutes. This place is insanely close. I've run races here before. In fact, on the Apex Network here, I ran a Spec Ford race here once in one of the Sunday leagues. In that Weekend Warriors, and I tell you what, it is absolutely as nuts as you would think, putting 30 some odd cars around here. It's 3 wide everywhere. There's never a chance for separation, and it just keeps going and going. And tonight we get to do it not once but twice.
Yes. And you know, and again, as we're looking at under a minute for each one of these laps, for 2 30-minute races.
Yeah, this is gonna be 40 lap races in 30 minutes. It's insane. This is like Saturday night at the Circle Track and right near you. That's just gonna be going on here, and it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. A lot of things are gonna change. You know, we always do with these double sprint formats. We always watch that transfer spot. I'm not sure we could even start looking at that until about the 28th minute, because it's going to be changing hands so many times.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Larry, is that until we hit about lap 35, we probably shouldn't even worry about it as we descend upon the UK's version of Bowman Gray Stadium over here. So we have qualifying now just starting on out, and so it's going to take a little bit of time before we start clocking some times here from our drivers. We're on board right now with Josh Soto. I think we saw Russ Ruddick in the 95 machine go out a little bit earlier for a quick run. And basically what we have here, Larry, is much like we do every single week in the Classic Sprint Series, and we're actually watching right now, I think Jeff Cranston just trying to get some heat in the tires right there as he's weaving the car back and forth, that we only are giving the drivers still just 4 laps in order to set a fast time and set the grid for tonight's very first race of the evening. And these are what we call lone qualifying sessions. The driver thinks they've got this, this 1.2 mile course all to themselves, but I think we're probably going to see most of the drivers go out and hit qualifying very, very quickly here. We may have a little bit of dead time at the end of the session, and hopefully, and what I've gotten word from is that we're going to have Jeff Jacobs, driver of the number 38 streetsurvival.org Mazda Miata. He's currently running, there's Jeff right now. He is currently running, I believe, 8th in the Pro Championship currently. But he's got a nice little angle. He just got back from his own European vacation and spent some time out at Brands Hatch with a BMW M4. So it should be a nice little conversation that we have with Jeff here in a few moments. Now, as we're watching the drivers put in their qualifying laps, you'll notice as we look at Jeff here in that yellow with black stripe machine, he is one of our pro class drivers, and you can tell that because he's got the red mirrors on the car, he's got the red number board as well, and all of our pro class drivers will be liveried as such, whereas our AM class drivers, they will have, just as we're watching Jose Gonzalez here, the AM class drivers, they will have the green mirrors and the green number boards on their cars. And it's, I think, Larry, judging by the layout here and what we're expecting, you're going to need to keep that in mind, because I think all these drivers are going to get very, very mixed up over the course of tonight's 2 races.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that. This is one of those nights where I wouldn't be surprised to see an AM driver take the overall victory in one of our 2 sprints, because it could be an attrition thing. You watch some of these lines these guys taking, like the line there coming off of that downhill sweeper. You start running wide, and that's allowed. The track limits are just weird around this place, which also means you're pushing the edges of the grass. You can see grass come up here. As he's taking a little bit of Josh Soto is taking a little bit of extra room. But that's how you got to drive this place, which means you're on that crazy hairy limit of putting the car into a span and into the wall at any moment around this place. There's barely a moment where you have the wheel pointed straight. And really, I think that we could be seeing a lot of mix-ups. You could be easily seeing a couple of AM drivers on the podium for the overall tonight.
Oh, certainly, Larry. And here, as you mentioned, you're obviously using every less since this is a very tight layout with some very late apex turns there, and you can see as we had Josh Soto come through turn 2, Druids, the hairpin on the course. In some cases you've got just very narrow curbing here. As we watch Travis Schwenke come through turn 1 through Paddock Hill, there's all of that grass growing through the pavement on driver's left as he comes through Graham Hill Bend right over here. You'll see also same thing, all of that grassy area to the right of the curbing. We should not have to worry tonight, though. I think what we saw in Austria this past week, where all these drivers were getting 5-second penalties for running wide over at turn 4. It may not be the same here, but they do have to be careful. There are some corners where you just don't have all that runoff room.
Yeah, I think where you're going to see it here is the Graham Hill Bend, that downhill left-hander. Typically where they go for, even coming off of Druids, you see a lot of the running wide there at that hairpin. But my favorite corner might be just coming down the Paddock Hill Bend, that turn 1 downhill. Yes. As we're on board here with, I think who that is. It might be Hartley coming down this hill, and at the bottom it gets super slippery and the cars bottom out. If you try to actually go and stay inside, you're probably going to spin. You actually have to kind of run this thing wide out by the curbing or even by the sand, which just makes it interesting when there's 2 wide coming through there. So that's what I'm looking forward tonight, is how many wide can we throw it into the Paddock Hill Bend down that first turn.
Well, we saw drivers try to do it at a couple of weeks ago at Phillip Island. We saw a couple of drivers try to make it 4 wide. Now, it didn't work out very well for Nate Nicholson, who started 5th there, I guess, now running on 3 weeks ago, I guess, and ended up having to retire early. Matter of fact, that might be a good segue, Larry. Let's take a look back at how we finished up at Phillip Island, and we'll take a look at the point standings as they currently are, with drops and all here in our two categories. We'll start off with the AM category, where Jose Gonzalez got his, I believe, very first win of the season. He actually had started, and a lot of the drivers in the Not a Team Racing team started a couple rounds late in the season, but Jose Gonzalez had a commanding victory in the AM category with a 12-second gap back to Jeffrey Cranston in the Craney Customs machine. Finishing on the 3rd step of the podium, final step of the podium from Frito Sport Racing was Greg Brockway. Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsports and Edgar Sancinelli from Frito Sport rounded out your top 5. And if we take a look at the point standings now, with 5 rounds complete, and again, we are taking drops into account at this point, your current points leader with 106 points is Edgar Sancinelli. Greg Brockway 14 points back from our leader, also from Frito Sport Racing, sitting there with 92 points. Running in second, Jeff Cranston sitting 23 points off the lead, 9 points back from Brockway, is currently running 3rd in the championship, with Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise and Nick Parsono from NAP Motorsports running in 5th in the points. And so let's take a look at the standings right now in the pro category. Actually, let's look back
real quick, though. Just keep an eye. You mentioned about the win last week for Jose Gonzalez. He's only got 3 races out of the 5 so far. All 3 of them victories. He comes in on a 3-race winning streak here in the AM category. Definitely one to watch tonight. It could continue to creep up that order when we get into the drop season late here in the season. So keep your eye on that guy tonight.
All right, so let's take a look now in the pro category, where Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing, he took the win, margin of victory over Timon Bramley, and this was an amazing race, Larry. These 2 drivers were going at it all race long, from Birdcage by TB Sim Designs, Mazda MX-5. Timon Bramley, I guess we could say it was his home race, whether or not it was his home track, but being the only Australian in the series, I'm sure he definitely enjoyed running Phillip Island. He finished 17 thousandths of a second off the win. Rui Coimbra finished in 3rd, and he was only 17 hundredths back from Bramley. So a very, very close fight to the finish there in the pro category. And, Robert Hartley, who finished in 4th, from Orion Racing. He, he's the one who got kind of caught out. He was a full 9/10 off the win. So very, very tight with Jordy Fike rounding out the top 5 from Team Esport Racer. And if we take a look at the point standings, Robert Hartley with that 4th place finish expanded upon his lead. He now has a 6-point advantage over his Orion Racing teammate Travis Schwenke, with 159 points to Hartley, 153 to Schwenke. Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing machine, 17 points back from Schwenke. So an Orion top 3 right now in the Pro Championship. Brennan Horn in the D2D E-Racing number 45 machine. He's 13 points back from Dam, currently running 4th in the championship. And then another 12 points back from there, David Payton, also from D2D E-Racing. So still very, very close in the championship here, especially in that fight for the lead between teammates Hartley and Schwenke.
So why don't we bring in our guest here pre-race, and that's going to be Jeff Jacobs. We'll kind of bring him into here. We've got Jeff with us now. So Jeff, thanks for joining us here before the race.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to jump right to it. I understand you just took a little bit of a European vacation and may have visited our subject track tonight.
Yeah, just by a coincidence, that turns out to be really good timing. Had an opportunity to take the train from London over to Brands Hatch there, and they've got a really terrific track program there where you could run these BMW M4s, or they also had like a single seater car that you could run around out there, and that was a lot of fun. You got 2 15-minute sessions, and sort of the classic, I suppose, maybe British weather that you might imagine, sort of this misty, half foggy type of weather, but it was really cool, and had a great time.
So how daring were you to kind of throw it into that first downhill paddock hill bend in a borrowed rented car?
Hey, I'll tell you, to my instructor's credit, he was saying, "Hey, keep going, that's great." So and I was also a little concerned about adjusting to right-hand drive, but they were paddle shifts, so didn't have to worry about figuring out the shifting with the left hand and all that good stuff. But I managed not to put my instructor off into the dirt very many times, and it was really cool because that is kind of like a blind turn in there, even in real life, and you just sort of crest the hill, and then you're looking down, and you're like, oh, we're totally going off, and then the car just hits the bottom of that hill, and it G's up, with the suspension, and then you've got all kinds of grip just in time to launch you up the hill. So it was really a lot of fun.
That does sound like amazing. Did you learn any secret lines? Anything you could apply when you get back on the sim this week?
I don't know about that, although it does certainly help you appreciate, why is the car pushing in this section on the sim? It's like, well, in real life, that really is sort of, a little even more off-camber and downhill than you see in different sections of the track. So that it sort of makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, that's why the car is always pushy there. But and so it'll be interesting to see tonight, how our drivers adjust to that. First of all, in the opening laps, as you all probably saw, really tough to qualify here because you need some time to put some heat in these tires. And with the laps being so short, I think the warm-up lap is going to be short for the pace lap. And it's going to be a challenge with these drivers having to race side by side, probably for those first, 2 and 3 laps before things get sorted out. They're going to have to be mindful of sort of the limited traction that's going to be out there.
Yeah, it's going to feel like a typical British weather misty day, I'm sure, on that first lap.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this should be exciting for you. Hopefully you don't forget that it's, I don't know if your sim rig is paddle or if you're H pattern on your sim, but it's probably not right-hand drive, so maybe you're back to your traditional setup on your own sim than you would have had.
There you go. That's right. Well, and we should have a great battle here tonight. I mean, when you look at that qualifying, the drivers all within just a few tenths of each other. I think it's going to be seeing, who can avoid, those early mistakes and get around, cleanly, and then just make some clean passes and capitalize on mistakes that other folks make. And we've got some great point battles. I mean, Travis, I see, has qualified in the front, and he needs to do that, if he's going to challenge, Hartley and Dam for those top points going into the end of the season.
Yeah, I think it's going to get even tighter here tonight. It's critical for these guys as these battles are really starting to heat up a little bit. But for you mentioned about how tight the qualifying is tonight. Just real quick, looking at the top 9, which you're currently 9th on the grid. 52-3 from a 51-7, so just 6/10 covers that whole group. It is going to be a dogfight, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I kind of wish I was in this dogfight tonight, but I'll have to keep my jealousy here under control watching you guys out there tonight.
Well, absolutely. Hey, we're looking forward to the broadcast, and I think our drivers will put on 2 great races tonight.
I think so as well. Well, good luck to you, and maybe we'll see you in the heat of that action here tonight.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
All right, there you go. Jeff Jacobs, driver of the number 38 streetsurvival.org Mazda MX-5, currently running, I believe, 8th in the Pro Championship. And so, Larry, just like that, we've completed qualifying, and we've got our starting grid. Tell you what, I'll take the Pro drivers if you want to take the AMs. Starting on the front row tonight from Orion Racing, your pole sitter with a fast time of 51.783. I think that means he's going to turn about 65 laps tonight in the first 30 minutes. Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing. John Allen from Seamless Racing, only 58 thousandths of a second off the pole in the 101 machine. He'll start on the outside of row number 1. Robert Hartley from Orion Racing will start right behind his teammate. He is driving the number 3 machine, and right beside Robert is Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing machine. So 3 out of the top 4 machines, and 3 out of the top 4 drivers in the Pro Championship right now. Mike Dam, he's going to start on the outside of row number 2. Josh Soto from Soto Racing Operations. He will start 5th tonight with Jordy Fike from Team Esport Racer, starting right next to him in 6th. Tom Rathke will start in 7th, driving the Granite State Racing number 41 machine. David Payton from D2D Racing, he will start in 8th. On the 5th row tonight, starting 9th, driving the number 38 streetsurvival.org machine. You just heard him here. Jeff Jacobs, trying to use some of that local track knowledge that he gained this weekend or this past week. Greg Mack, he will start 10th in the number 2 Esport Racer machine. Chris Thorman, he will start at the tail end of the pro field, starting 11th.
All right. Then starting the highest qualifier in the AM categories, Edgar Santinelli. He'll be starting on the outside of row 6 there for him. And then on row 7 on the insides, another one of our pro class drivers, Brennan Horns. He's going to have to work his way through the AM class in order to catch up to that fight. He's from D2D Racing. He'll be lined up alongside another one of our Frito Sport Racing drivers, Greg Brockway. On row 8 on the inside, Steve Janil from SKKJ Racing. Alongside, Jose Gonzalez comes in on a 3-race win streak. See if he can continue that tonight from Not a Team Racing. On row 9 on the inside, Mike Key from Frito Sport Racing, alongside Jeff Cranston from Craney Custom Racing. On row 10, it's Frito Sport Racing's Mike Taylor, alongside Russ Ruddock from Flying Tortoise Motorsport. On row 11, it's NAP Motorsports' Nick Parsino, alongside Frito Sport Racing's Patrick Preventis. And on row 12 on the inside, John Casey from 046 Racing.
All right, Larry, and for the fastest pace lap in motorsports, here we go. Drivers are making it there through Surtees and over to McLaren right now. They're going to be heading up. Actually, I guess they're coming through Graham Hill. Pardon me. But the Mustang pace car keeping them at a pretty good pace here tonight. And as we do always here in the Classic Sprint Series, we do have a real live starter. The drivers will have a start zone starting right as they come right by pit in, so just as they come around the bend here, but they are not allowed to pass the car on the row ahead of them until they get to the start finish line. As they come now down through the final corner here, finally through Clark Curve onto the front straight, and we have a green flag, Larry. The flag is in the air, and our pole sitter Travis Schwenke gets out to a good start on John Allen as they come up the rise, heading towards that quick braking zone, and then quickly drop back down the hill over at Paddock Hill as they make the run both first down and then up towards Druids. And right now, your pole sitter, Travis Schwenke, he's got the advantage over Allen. Then we've got Robert Hartley, then Josh Soto, then Mike Dam, and side by side, back behind Dam, we've got Jordy Fike and David Payton. Looks like Fike in the 09 machine manages to get that position, and we have a car off.
That's Greg Mack.
Yeah, that's Greg Mack in the number 2 machine as he tries to get that car back underway. And now John Allen looks like he has some issues coming through McLaren onto the final straight here. He's going to lose a position to Robert Hartley. Looks like he's also lost out to Josh Soto. Soto still side by side with Allen, but has the inside position as they come onto the front straight here to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, great start there for Josh Soto. Was able to move up one spot early on. Now he's trying to move that second spot and stay ahead of John Allen. John's going to stay side by side as they head into Druids for the second time, and that's probably the last time I'm going to try and count lap numbers. No. But he's going to try and stay there alongside him, and he's almost got the spot, but still as they come down through Graham Hill Bend, still side by side. And behind them is Mike Dam, who has already lost a spot in this race as well. He's back into 5th, but it's going to be a train here for quite a while among these top 6 or 7.
Yeah, and so we're already starting to see a little bit of a separation from our top 6 drivers. Jordy Fike at the end of that line, going back then to Tom Rathke in that black number 41 machine, currently running in 7th. Brennan Horan taking Mr. Toad's wild ride as he's trying to find his way back onto the pavement here, and finally does right. And this is not a that's an aerial area where in my practice laps over the weekend, coming through McLaren, trying to get back onto the main track, going into Clark, it seems pretty common to have the car just kind of understeer and push right off drivers left.
The pavement takes all kinds of crazy camber angles down there. You know, the traditional track, as you come down that straightaway towards the Clark curve, kind of dives into this off-camber and then on-camber banking. Well, with the shortcut there they call McLaren, as you're going through right here, you can see the pavement turn into an off-camber, and then eventually you get to the off-camber part and it dips back down to on-camber. And it does a lot of crazy things, makes the car push early on, which pushes you wide. Eventually you get back to here as you get to the Brabham Straight and it's back on camber. But the car will take a wicked push if you're not turned in early enough. So you almost have to pretend the thing's a John Deere tractor, get the thing all the way down on the grassy edge on the right corner there as you come across the McLaren shortcut. Otherwise, you're just going to push wide and wide and probably give up a spot before you even get down the straightaway.
Well, and that looks like that's what a couple people have done here, Larry, a little bit further back in the field. Looks like Chris Thorman and Steve Daniel, at least Chris Thorman has given up positions. Edgar Sanchinelli has moved up now into 10th. Looks like Steve Daniel in the number 96 machine has made up 3 positions, as has Jose Gonzalez, our winner from a couple weeks ago at Phillip Island. But we're starting to see maybe a little bit more separation, some packs of 2 here, yeah. Maybe working together, trying to
one of those packs up. Is right now, it looks like the Mike Taylor, Mike Key battle, the battle of the Mikes, and the 66 of Taylor are, he's trying to get his way around the 98 of Key. Not able to find any room there, and you can see Key gets a really good run off of that corner we just talked about. That's Clearways or Clark Curve corner there as they go round and round one more time. We're already on lap 5. We're 3.5 minutes into this race.
Like I said, it's going to go 60, Larry.
It just might. But you watch this now. You can see the move now for Taylor trying to go wide here, see if he can get a late apex come running down the hill. I can tell you that honestly, for whatever reason, doesn't work very well here. That Druids corner, best way in, the fastest way is the tightest apex. I don't know if it's because there's a little bit of on camber through the middle of it, but if you start doing the late apex there, you would think with a 180 would work. Really doesn't there.
No,
you can take a nice tight apex and get a nice wide exit.
That's right. And on the exit there, you've got just the very thinnest width of curbing on the exit drivers left over there. And if you do start from the outside, suddenly you are there and you're just kind of scrabbling for grip, and you also have to then fight your way all the way back over.
We're about to watch some of that because John Allen's on the outside of Rob Hartley as they are doing exactly that coming off of Druids. You can see Allen is able to use some of that apron to the left, and he's able to hold that position as they go down to Graham Hill Bend, and he's able to take that position away from Robert Hartley. And that move is all set up, I think, coming down the front straight through the Brabham Straight and going side by side down the Paddock Hill Bend. So that seems to be a good spot to pass, but it does take a little bit of setup as you watch him now come back into the Clark curve.
Yeah, and you saw there the little braking moment there from Josh Soto, just as he made that very quick transition from going left through turn 4 into McLaren about midway through the corner there, and it really got the rear end to walk out on him and made it, I think, much easier for him to get the car to rotate for when he was coming back onto the main straight there. I didn't think, in my test laps that I was doing, I didn't think of actually using that area that early to brake with, but looked like a pretty good move from him.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I'm just watching this whole thing as no one yet is pressuring Travis Schwenke, the leader of this race. The battle right now seems to be for second, and I think that might be giving Schwenke an opportunity to sort of pull a little bit. Rob Hartley right now looks like maybe he's going to try and play patient as long as behind him Josh Soto does the same, and then maybe they can close this gap up and start swapping spots with Travis Schwenke. But right now Schwenke seems to be having about as easy to go with this as you can imagine at this sort of track.
Here we go as they come back onto the front straight to complete lap number 7, Larry, here. And you can see now the separation between our top 6 and then heading back another lineup back behind Tom Rathke, who's currently sitting in that transfer spot, sitting in 7th. I know we said we probably wouldn't talk about it until lap 28 or so, but Rathke in that black number 47, he is currently in that position that if he can hold on to 7th, he will start race number 2 on pole. But as you can see, he's under quite a bit of pressure there from both David Payton and Jeff Jacobs.
Hot seat, if there ever was a hot seat right now, with the guys lined up behind him, Payton and Jacobs, and Thorman not far back from there as well, especially if these three start dicing it up there for that 7th spot. So we'll check back in on that. Come down here just a little bit as we've got incidents reviewed there between the 78 of Casey and the 29 of Patrick Ravennis. No action there required, but lots of battles going on. So here is that battle of Sentinelli there in the 57. He's your leader in the AM. Right behind him should be Steve Daniel, less than a second, but Santinelli not far off of Chris Thorman. You can see the pro category Chris Thorman, so these guys intermixing in between classes.
Yeah, so exactly, and so we'll see here how if Thorman ends up holding back the AM category here. But there you go, as we took a look off the trunk of Edgar Santinelli back to Steve Daniel in that bronze and green MX-5, the number 96 machine. Jose Gonzalez quite a bit further back from there. You can see Gonzalez probably a good 20 car lengths back in his own little race right now with Greg Brockway and Jeff Cranston.
Yeah, Gonzalez not yet showing the pace that we've seen him at the other tracks the last couple of races. He's got a little bit of work cut out for him to try and keep up with Santinelli and Daniel out there in front of him. And Santinelli, a little bit of luck, could find himself even in the battle with Rathke and Payton for that 7th spot. So we'll check back in on that shortly as we flash back to our overall lead.
Yeah, and it looks like things have settled down maybe just a little bit, Larry. You know, as you said, I think it was like a whole 3 or 4 laps ago that it looked like the battle was for a second. But there you go. It was John Allen runs very wide, caught a bit of curbing there going into McLaren. And for a moment, I'm sure Hartley had thoughts about regaining 2nd position, just as I was saying that it looked like things had maybe calmed down a little bit. And perhaps the rest of that front group was starting to draft back up to our leader, Travis Schwenke.
That move there by John Allen, I think, was fully intended. That's a line he's trying to take to get a great run onto the Brabham Straight, because look at what he's done. He's put himself right underneath the rear taillights there of Travis Schwenke, the leader. And I think maybe Hartley didn't expect it, but I think that was Allen's real attempt there to try and close the gap, was to get a good, strong run off of that corner.
And speaking
of John,
Larry, John Allen into the tire wall.
Wow.
And I believe that was over by Graham Hill.
It is,
Yeah, he got underneath, as you said, he was getting right underneath the rear Schwenke and ran wide on exit there and just could not gather the car back up. And so now that is going to move Robert Hartley up into 2nd, uncontested. Josh Soto in 3rd, Mike Dam and Jordy Fike now 4th and 5th. Tom Rathke now kind of out of the hot bird, the catbird seat there in 6th, and now the man who's got to hold on to the position is David Payton in the number 64 machine.
Yeah, which means all 3 of these guys will be fighting for it, because as of right now, like you say, 2 of these 3 move to the front row for the next race. If we, in 20 minutes it still looks like this, which means one of these guys is going to get very desperate to try and gain 7 positions on the start of the next race over where they could otherwise be. Right now, that's Jeff Jacobs on the outside looking in, so we'll keep our eyes on this one. Going back to the John Allen thing, I wonder if he just had a sim rig issue, the way that thing just darted off of that corner.
Yeah. Well, Well, it looked as though when they came out of Druids and started to make the run down the hill, he did drop a wheel driver's right, and I think that might have precipitated things.
Possible.
Yeah, and it might have been a simmering issue, but I think he spent that entire corner just trying to gather the thing back up and just couldn't make it work.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that has put him into the pits probably for the rest of this event. So, unfortunately for our defending series champion, I don't think he's going to be putting himself with a whole lot of points here tonight to have a chance to defend that championship. But these guys at the front are all deep in that fight. Schwenke, Hartley, and Dam, of course, the three from Orion, and nestled in between there is Josh Soto, who's definitely showing the speed and the pace to run with these guys. I think right now in the overall point standing, Soto may have missed a couple of rounds.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I believe he did.
Yeah, the other three are 1, 2, 3. Soto's down in 12th, but he has missed the last 3 rounds. So
right.
Prior to that, he had taken a first and a second. So this is these are the heavy hitters in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series for sure. And but only one of these 4 can win this race tonight, assuming one of them 4 is still around at the end. So let's see how this battle goes. But I can't. Somebody's got to push Schwenke off of that top spot here before we get to the 15-minute mark. As this battle now, this is the 79 of Nick Parsono and the 98 of Mike Key. Key earlier was in a battle with Mike Taylor. Taylor's gotten around all of them, leaving Parsono and Key now to battle behind him. It looks like Parsono in the 79 is able to make that pass as well.
There you go. So now that moves Parsono up into 7th in the AM category, and again, we've had a little bit of I don't want to call it carnage, but some strife from some of our Pro Series drivers, and so Parsono has made up 5 positions from the start here. But then again, Taylor and Cranston have made up 4 positions as again a couple of the cars ahead of them have fallen off track.
And the last car in that train right there is Greg Mack. We saw him on lap 1. Do the spin. He's been fastest. Here he goes right now trying to get up underneath that 95 of Russ Ruddock. He's able to make that pass on the main straight. He right now is the quickest of these 4, so we'll see if he can get his way past the next 2, Parsono and Keith. That's Greg Mack in a pretty good recovery drive going here.
And so Mack now back up to 18th position after having dropped all the way back, as you mentioned, to the tail end of the field, back down to 24th. And so starting to make his way back up through the field, and he's got nothing but AM drivers for quite some distance. But I think as we're finding here, Larry, the passing opportunities are somewhat slim here, given the fast nature of many of these corners.
Yeah, in fact, that's what a few minutes ago we had checked in on this battle right here. This is your leader in AM, Edgar Sancinelli, and the 9th place in Pro, Chris Thorman, still nose to tail. As I'm sure Edgar would love to get by Chris at this point because he's got an angry and hungry Steve Daniel behind him that would like to take away that spot in his first place in AM. But right now, Steve's just kind of picking his moment to maybe try and get by both of these guys. So this is an interesting little battle. And again, they're only 2 spots out of the transfer as well, as right now David Payton in the 7th spot, Jeff Jacobs in the 8th. This battle here is a 2nd and a half back on track, and they're in 9th and 10th on track. So these guys not only fighting for position, potentially fighting for the transfer spot for race number 2. As we flash back to the lead, looks like a little bit of gap now forming between your top 3 and your 4th place. Mike Dam maybe had a little bit of an issue with one corner. He's still within draft zone. I figure he'll pull up relatively quickly, but no otherwise changes out in front here. I got to figure as we're approaching the halfway mark of this first race, 17 laps in, that perhaps we might see some movement for the lead, especially if Soto, I think, the odd man, the non-Orion driver here, gets in the mix. He might start getting in there and mixing it up.
Yeah, and we've seen where Josh can be very aggressive at times. So we'll see how long he decides to wait on this. Again, of course, as you mentioned, he's got the 2 Orion teammates there running tail. And it looks like now stepping to the outside, the number 3 Machina Hartley. For a moment, thought he might have a run on Schwenke coming onto the front straight, and they are still sitting side by side. And let's see what Soto decides to do.
Yep, I tell you what, Soto took an opportunity there. Hartley was trying to be the gentleman, let Schwenke, the teammate, hold on to that lead, and now Hartley's got to get the car to control. 2 tires on pavement, 2 tires off. Slippy, slidey. I think he's finally got it, but he's going to lose 2 positions in the meantime there, sliding out in behind luckily without any further damage in behind Mike Dam.
There you go. So Robert Hartley moves from second back into fourth, and yeah, for a moment there, it looked as though Hartley, just a lap ago, might have had some designs on taking the lead from his teammate Travis Schwenke, and as they went down the hill, went down through Paddock Hill and then over towards Druids, Soto, just being very opportunistic, drove the car down the inside. But between those two teammates that were side by side,
it did a great job of positioning the car on the inside and staying on the inside here at Druids last time through to make sure that he had the exit, pushing Hartley wide, and then Hartley got a little bit too much grass. Luckily for him, how many times have we seen where drivers get out there and then the car snaps across the track and ends up on the barrier? Hartley did a fantastic job of car control to keep that thing in check and give himself a chance here. And I think between he and Mike Dam behind this field, I think all four of these will be back together here in about 2 more laps.
Yeah, it should not be long here, especially if we see Soto start to make a run on Travis Schwenke, which for a moment there coming out of McLaren looked like he might try it, and you can see he's sucked up right into the rear. And here he goes, steps to the outside.
He's trying to push Schwenke to an inside line and then over and under him. Schwenke's smart enough, and he's going to really take the inside protection line. But look at that protection move. That's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it hung it all the way driver's right, and I think Soto realized as both Dam and Hartley are starting to pull back up that if he put the car all the way down to the inside there, he might have had some issues going into Druids with an attack from driver's left. But he manages to hold on to the position. But let's see what happens now, Larry, as both Schwenke and Soto, as we're just now halfway, or a little bit over halfway into this first 30-minute race of the evening, our leaders start to come up on some slower traffic.
Yeah, they definitely have. In fact,
it looks like that slower traffic was Brennan Horan, who just dove down into the pits.
Yeah, I wonder if he's had some issues. We did see him early in the race in the grass, may have had another off somewhere and decided to just pull in and stay out of this fight. Probably a good thing, because this fight is heating up right as we watch it. As Soto seems to be quicker coming off of the last corner onto the main straight, and as he does, he gets a good run, but not able to really execute with it. Schwenke able to do a good job down through the Paddock Hill Bend to hold those leads. Every lap, it's kind of the same story.
Yeah, and there you go. And signs that they must be in the UK. Josh Soto with the windshield wipers going for a couple seconds there.
Hey, Jeff says it's typical British weather here when he was there 2 weeks ago. So
that's right.
Perhaps they're getting a little bit, they finally got that built into the sim here in iRacing.
It's the real virtual rain, exactly. None of us can see it, but the automatic rain sensing wipers on the MX-5 apparently can pick them up. All right, here as we jump back a little bit further, this is the battle right now that we have been watching. Chris Thorman now right behind Edgar Sancinelli, and you'll find that Thorman currently running 9th in pro. And remember, Sancinelli had been trying for lap upon lap to get around Chris Thorman to put the number 60 car between he and Steve Daniel in that battle in AM. Sancinelli finally gets it done, and that's now going to put the onus on Steve Daniel to try and find his way around. Remember, in the championship currently,
Thorman's got to run again, so Sancinelli ran wide. Now all three of them are going to be practically side by side as they come up back onto the front straight.
As Thorman gets back around Sancinelli, and that also allows Daniel to close back up again. And as we stand in the championship right now, where Edgar Sancinelli, he is your current points leader. Steve Daniel, maybe a little bit further down than we expected to see him. Daniel currently running 7th in the championship, 34 points off the lead. Actually, it's not 7th, but he's tied for 6th in the championship with Jose Gonzalez.
Well, back to the front, it looks like Hartley and Dam have done their work. Hartley was able to get around teammate Dam, and now he's going to try and do the same to Josh Soto. We just saw them here about 4 laps ago, and now they're back together again. And Hartley looking a little bit hungrier this time, not going to leave those opportunities to let anybody slip up the inside. He's going to be the hunter and not the hunted this time.
That's right.
He's got a good run, too.
And they are starting once again now to come up on some slower traffic. Looks like they've got the 29 of Proventus just ahead, as Soto once again takes that very late entry down into Paddock Hill, manages to hold off the number 3 machine But let's see what happens here if things get a little bottled up between the 29 car. They may be lucky, Larry, and maybe not come up on that car until they get into McLaren's and come back onto the front straight.
That would be ideal. For Schwenke, though, he doesn't seem to mind. He's got enough of a gap behind him, and it looks like he's going to use a little bit of this track here. But boy, did he get there quickly. On Prevenice, this is going to be interesting. Prevenice able to get to the side to let these guys through. Appreciating that are all four of them right now, but it's getting dicey.
Yeah, and Prevenice, you can't exactly blame him. He really didn't have anywhere to go when Schwenke came up on him, but got that car over driver's left as quickly as he could once he finished bouncing off the curbing.
I'm not sure Schwenke thought that Prevenice was going to brake as early as he did. And luckily for him, Prevenice was watching his mirrors, able to stay driver's left and give these guys an opportunity to come on through. So that's appreciated. It's good heads-up driving by both these guys. But let this fight continue. We're under 9 minutes now in this battle, working lap 25. It's crazy.
All right, let's jump back now, and this is the battle for the AM category lead. Edgar Sancinelli once again in the position of defending against Steve Daniel, as they're both kind of bottled up there behind Thorman. Thorman sitting 9th overall, and just ahead of him is the actual battle for the transfer spot with Peyton and Jacobs.
Well, this will be interesting if Sancinelli and Thorman and Daniel can catch that Peyton Jacobs in front of him. You could have a 5-way battle for the transfer spot. But Sancinelli had the opportunity at least to put a car between he and Steve Daniel, his chief rival here in class. Missed that opportunity, let Thorman get on by, and now not only is he still trying to get up near that transfer spot, he's trying to still hold the AM category competitor behind him. And Daniel looking pretty racy right now as well. You guys are not far behind that 7th and 8th place of Peyton and Jacobs.
No, and they appear to be closing up just a little bit. Now, the last time through, and we're looking at 52.8, 52.9 for Peyton and Jacobs, and Thorman, Sancinelli, and Daniel running in the 52.6s and 52.7s, so about 2/10 to 25 of a second faster than the cars ahead, and they are definitely starting to close things down as we have just about 7 minutes remaining in our first race here. Remember, guys, if you like what you see, guys and gals, if you like what you see here tonight, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up on the YouTubes, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV for some of the best virtual motorsports from around the world, seemingly 24/7. You'll be glad you did. All right, so let's jump back to the lead here with Travis Schwenke. Josh Soto still challenging for that lead over the number 16 machine. Robert Hartley and Mike Dam very close behind. It is certainly, as it's been for the majority of this race, either a 4 or a 5 car battle, as we've had a couple drivers drop off the course. It is a 4-car battle for the lead, as our pack now, I think, coming up on the 95 machine of Ruddick.
They are. It's going to look a lot like when they caught Patrick Prevenice. It's going to happen probably on the Cooper Straights, which is that back straight. Unless Ruddick lets these guys by now, which it looks like he's going to try and do. Good job by Russell. Let the field play through. To use a bit of a British golf term tonight. And but this will be interesting. We have 6 minutes left, 24 minutes in, and still Soto not yet able to make a move on Schwenke. Schwenke's led every single lap. And now Hartley still hasn't been able to make the move on Soto. I got to figure this is go time with whatever, 6 laps, 7 laps to go.
All
and
right,
they're going to catch another car in front of them very quickly, as I think Mike Key may be having a little bit of damage in the front of his car, so it's his pace is a little slow.
A little bit off. And look at this. Schwenke goes all the way over driver's right to defend coming out of Paddock Hill. Soto tries to go to the outside, and I think got maybe caught out just a little bit. Didn't expect Schwenke to come over as quickly as he did driver's right. And then we saw both Hartley and Dam try to go around the outside, and could not make that move work. But I think everybody got caught out a little bit by Travis Schwenke's roll out of Paddock Hill.
But I think a little bit. Schwenke may be driving a little bit much in his mirrors right now. Probably not what he wants to be doing, but might be what he needs to be doing.
Yeah.
As I think Soto is going to be getting a bit of a draft push from Rob Hartley behind him, and he's going to get a little bit of a draft pull from Travis himself. So you watch as he comes down this hill aggressively with a good run. See how close he can get. Not close enough this time. As one more time through Druids, they go. But look at that daylight gap. Barely anything between Soto and Schwenke. And then again, between all four of them right now are covering 0.3 of a second.
And Larry, if you'll notice, Schwenke has drastically changed his entrance into turn one into Paddock Hill. You know, we had been watching as Soto would very quickly move this car all the way over. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact there. As Schwenke would perhaps stay middle of track, maybe just a quarter to a half a car width from driver's left, and we would always see Soto move all the way over driver's left to try and get a late entry and then try to get underneath Schwenke going down into turn two into Druids. And it looks like Schwenke now has modified that line and maybe picked up, and taking the late entry himself, giving himself more options as they roll down the hill.
Yes, I think he is. And here goes now. Is Hartley now trying to push Soto around a little bit to see if he can get a little bit of position off of any one of these corners and set up a pass. Not to be done this time through Graham Hill Bend. But I tell you what, as they come around through Clark Curve one more time here, you might be seeing some side-by-sides. And I know that we had flashed there to the battle for 7th for a minute. As it's still Peyton leading Jacobs. We'll get to all these battles here as the laps start to really count down. Look at this run. Soto trying to now see if he can go left. Can he go right? Hartley's going to use a little bit of the turf to the inside. Look at these guys. Schwenke is not budging from the inside. Soto going to go outside. We might go 3 wide down.
Yeah, Hartley's going to the outside as well. And now Hartley, he tries to jump underneath Josh Soto. Cannot get there. Ends up left front to right rear. Has to check up just a little bit as Schwenke probably had his best run through turn one as he's had all evening long here now. But it is, I think, now definitely go time, and Josh Soto's got to be in a very difficult position right now, Larry, as he obviously, as he tries to attack Schwenke, he's got to worry about covering both Hartley and also Dan behind.
He does, and that's the difficulty. You have to watch in front and behind. Schwenke just has to kind of drive and check his mirrors once in a while and not leave any gaps. But if you're stuck in those middle positions, you easily fall victim to any kind of move behind you. But watch Hartley again. This time Hartley might get a little bit more aggressive. Last time he backed out, let Soto do his thing. Watch Hartley this time, see if he makes a move coming down the Paddock Hill Bend this time.
All right, so we've got 2 minutes left on the clock. Going to be probably this and 2 more laps, so 3 laps total as they go side by side. Yeah, as Hartley tries to get the car underneath Josh Soto as they go through Druids, start to make the run down the hill, and Soto goes into the dirt, into the grass. And is he going to be able to avoid Hartley? Yes, he does. Somehow manages to hold that car off of the number 3 machine. And for a moment there, we talked about getting a competitive advantage by blowing a chicane. For a moment there, I thought Hartley might have been able to make the repass stick.
It was close.
But what it has done is it has really opened things up now for Travis Schwenke, as he now has about a 5 car length advantage over his teammate Robert Hartley. Mike Dam, the 3rd Orion Racing machine in the number 93 machine, sitting in 3rd. Josh Soto, who just a moment ago was running 2nd, he now finds himself in 4th position, trying to get back a little bit further up, maybe regain some of those points, as we've got a minute on the clock. And actually about 45 seconds on the clock. I think we're going to get one more lap out of this, Larry.
I think white flag next time by.
Yeah.
If we're running at about 52 seconds a lap. But you're right, Schwenke can actually breathe a little bit right now as he's got to go around here one more time. But the guys behind, let's see if those teammates of Hartley and Dam start to fight a little bit. We'll see what kind of run Mike Dam gets here off of this corner right here around this Clark Curve. Soto is going to have to not get by 1 but 2 of these Orion drivers to get back where he was just 3 laps ago. I don't know that he could do that. He may be lucky to even pick off one of them. Dam, though, pretty good run on Hartley. See if he can make something happen here down the hill over to Druids.
All right, so white flag is in the air, Larry, as they are on their very last lap on our first of 2 races here. And again, Schwenke has that opening. We look to that transfer position, and right now running 7th, having lost the position to David Payton, is Jordy Fike. now. Fike in the 09 machine, the Team Esport Racer silver and gray machine.
And Soto able to make the pass for third, pushing Mike Dam down to fourth, but it's not over yet as Dam's going to try to make the move and get a great run off of Clark and see if he can get him by start-finish. It's going to be a bit of a drag race, Soto with that advantage, but the win going to go to race 1 to Travis Schwenke.
There you go. Schwenke now takes the win in the number 16 Orion Racing machine. Robert Hartley comes back to finish in second, 0.4 of a second back. Josh Soto will take the last step on the podium. He will hold on to third over Mike Dam, who finishes fourth. Tom Rathke, who the last we watched, he was sitting in that transfer spot. Tom finishes in fifth. David Payton finishes sixth. Jordy Fike in the Team Esport Racer machine, he has the transfer position. He finishes seventh in our first race. He's going to start the second race tonight on the pole. Then we've got Jeff Jacobs, in the number 38 machine. He will start in eighth. Edgar Sanchinelli finishes in ninth position. Thorman will finish ninth overall, and Steve Daniel in the number 96 machine. He'll finish second in AM, and he'll finish 10th overall.
A great run there for Edgar Sanchinelli. Solid win in this race 1 in that AM category, holding off a pretty good push there by Steve Daniel. So a great job for Edgar to take that win in that class. I think that's as good a fight as we had at the front.
All right, so Larry, tell you what, why don't we take a quick break? We're going to thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have race number 2 here from the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit on the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
All right, and we are back here at Brands Hatch, the Indy Circuit, for round 6 and 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and we've just completed round number 6. Hopefully, Jonathan can bring up the results from our first race of the evening. That was like a rhetorical question. You know that, right, Larry?
Was it?
Perhaps it was. I don't know. All right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we can get those up on screen here in just a few moments. There we go. Let's take a look here at Travis Schwenke, your winner in race 1 over his Orion Racing teammate Robert Hartley. Margin of victory, as you can see there, 0.4 of a second. Josh Soto from Soto Racing will finish in third. Mike Dam, Tom Rathke round out the top 5 in the pro category. Edgar Sanchinelli from Frito Sport Racing takes the win in the AM category. Steve Daniel will finish in second, the SKKJ Racing number 96 machine. Jeff Cranston from Craney Customs will come home in third. Jose Gonzalez, Greg Brockway round out the top 5 in the AM category. And so, Larry, as we've got our drivers, a couple drivers out on course right now. I think we've got John Allen and Mike Dam testing some of the equipment. We got word that John Allen might have indeed had some equipment issues there in race number 1. So I'm sure he's trying to get that all nailed down. The Seamless Racing machine looks to be pretty quick on course right now. Hopefully he'll be able to work his way up through the pack for race number 2 for round number 7.
It'll be fun to watch for sure. As he likely could make his way partway through the field. We'll see how high he can get, but it's going to be quite a challenge to get even to the top 10. It's a tough field, and starting at the back is going to be a lot of traffic in front of him.
All right, and we can see here Tom Rathke, Mike Dam out on track as well. There's Tom in the 41 machine. And so, we were talking. Oh, there you go. and Mike Dam not doing something he did during our first race. Looks like he had a little bit of an issue there over at the tabletop, over at the top of Druids Bend. But essentially what we were doing, everybody, is we're giving our drivers 5 minutes to rest, relax, get some water, run for bathroom break, what have you, as we get
test
ready
their
for
sim rigs to make sure that they could work for 30 more minutes.
Yes. And that session is now over, as we just saw John Allen disappear. And that was pretty impressive there from our starter, first with the checkered flag and then all of a sudden with the green flag in the air. But Larry, as our drivers are getting gridded up for round number 7 for race number 2 tonight in season 21, let's take a look at the starting order for race number 2. And remember, the order, the top 7 drivers, the finishing order is inverted. So driver finishing 7th in race 1 will start on the pole. That is Jordy Fike from Team Esport Racer. David Payton, who finished in 6th, will start right next to him. Tom Rathke will start 3rd with Mike Dam 4th. Josh Soto 5th. Robert Hartley 6th. Then we've got Travis Schwenke, our winner from race number 1. He will start on the inside of row number 4. Jeff Jacobs will start next to him in 8th. Edgar Sanchinelli, our winner in the AM category from race number 1. He's going to start on the inside of row number 5. Chris Thorman will start right next to him in 10th. Steve Daniel will start 11th, with Jeffrey Cranston starting in 12th.
All right, back there in 13th, Jose Gonzalez could try and get a better finish here and work his way through the field. He'll be alongside Frito Sport Racing's Greg Brockway. On row 8, Mike Taylor, another Frito Sport driver, alongside Greg Mack, who had that good recovery drive there from race 1. On row 9, Nick Parson will be alongside Mike Key. A rough go there in that first race, looking for a recovery here. On row 10, Russ Ruddock's going to be on the inside alongside Patrick Preventis. On row 11, it's John Casey, and Brennan Horn is looking to try and move his way through the field, but he's going to have a very quick and hungry John Allen from Seamless Racing behind him. So let's see how quickly Brennan and John can try and pick their way through traffic, or maybe have their own little battle going for tonight's second race.
Yeah, and of course, John Allen had his little run-in going through Graham Hill. But Horn had that early off and then put the car into the tire wall as well. So he's got some demons to purge here for race number 2. We'll see how he does with John Allen, and see if those 2 drivers can make their way through the back of the pack. Remember, just 2 seasons ago, Brennan Horn was your AM category champion. He's been in the pro category for the last 2 seasons. As our drivers now make their way onto the front straight, and it is a very early green flag here, Larry, as they were just coming out of the final corner at a Clark curve. The green flag was given, and from the outside we've got now David Payton battling Jordy Fike for the lead. Fike, though, coming down the inside, is able to hold off Payton, at least for the moment, as they go up the hill and over towards the entrance to Druids. And look at this, coming around the outside, Mike Dam in that number 93 machine. He's got a great position as they come down into Graham Hill, and he now moves up into 2nd as we have cars that go
Hartley
wide.
And Soto on the right's going up. Hartley looked like he got into contact perhaps with Rafke. I'm not quite sure, but he's rolling again after a bit of a spin. You see Soto there on the driver's right, still in the
trying
grass
to
trying to
recover,
get back
yeah.
on again. So those two heavy hitters from that front pack of 4 find themselves down the order. We haven't even finished the first lap. It's still Jordy Fike and David Payton, your leaders, 1-2, as they started the second race. We'll see how long that lasts, as Mike Dam seems to be the one who was able to clear the field cleanly. And he's going to sit there in third with Rafke, Jacob Sancinelli now behind him, and your race 1 winner Schwenke still in 7th as we finish lap 1.
There you go, and it took quite a while for Mike Dam to go and clear Tom Rathke, but Rathke gets to the inside, going through Druids to start lap number 2, and as they switch back over to that left-hander over at Graham Hill, Mike Dam gets back around Rathke and retakes 3rd position, but things are starting to get bottled up just a little bit behind him. We've got both Jeff Jacobs and our AM category leader, Edgar Sancinelli, trying to look for places to go, Larry, and then there isn't anything there. Schwenke and Steve Daniel sitting right back behind them, so still a good tight pack here with one small advantage, and a big difference from race number 1 tonight is both Jordy Fike and David Payton have really separated themselves out from the rest of the field. But real quick, Larry, I think we've got a replay queued up now of that incident where we saw both Hartley and Soto go off at Graham Hill on lap number 1. Oh, and look at that. Before they got to Rathke, it looked as though Hartley actually got into the nose as he was tracking out at Graham Hill. He got into the nose of Josh Soto and then had that little tap at the back of Rathke. But that is what sent both Hartley and Soto off there on lap number 1, and have sent them all the way to the back of the pack.
Well, that has definitely taken those two heavy hitters out of the front group, as now it's Mike Dam still fighting to keep up with Jordy Fike and David Payton, your top 2. He's getting a little bit closer, but those guys have built a little bit of a lead up there with Rafke Jacobs behind them, and then your race 1 winner Schwenke now into 6th. Sancinelli, though, fighting strong here. Steve Daniel behind him, as we've got side-by-sides all over the place happening in the back of the field. This looks like John Casey. He's in the 78. 79, there's Nick Parsino, and the inside there is Hartley now on the recovery run with Soto behind him, as these guys are trying. We talked about John Allen trying to fight through. Turns out it's Soto and Hartley doing the same.
You know, and Larry, as I was looking to see where Hartley and Soto would end up in comparison to John Allen and Brennan Horn, and if we might just have like some massive battle towards the tail end of the field with some of these heavy hitters. John Allen and Brennan Horn have worked their way up to 10th and 11th position, respectively. Made up 13 positions has John Allen, and Brennan Horn right back behind him. You can see him here. John Allen at the tail end of this big field. Brennan Horn a little bit further back, not part of this this huge piece here, but we'll see if John Allen can dispatch with Chris Thorman maybe a little bit more easily than Sancinelli was able to in the first race.
Well, this will be interesting for Allen because, to move up 13 spots is an amazing feat to get himself up into the top 10. But he's got a nice train of tight cars in front of him. He can start to pick these off one by one. And knowing that Schwenke, your race 1 winner, is still sitting there, probably the biggest gap on the track right now in front of him, Schwenke is probably going to help close that gap, which is just going to pull the whole field together. This is going to be fascinating for Allen to see how far he can go, and maybe he can catch up to Schwenke. But Allen, though, still struggling right now to get past Thorman. Thorman doing a good run. And then you've got, of course, the 2 AM category leaders in front of him with Sancinelli and Steve Daniel. So there's a lot of tight battles to get through, and you can see Allen now try to pull to the inside of Thorman at the back of this field. He does get through there.
There you go, and it looks like he dispatches with Payton, comes down the inside, follows Steve Daniel through, and so move John Allen now up into 9th position.
And he's got Steve Daniel in his sights next. He's quickly on his heels. See if he tries to push Daniel to one side or the other as they come here through the short chute back to Clark. He's just going to try and get a good run onto the front straight and see what he can do going into 1. But Allen right now doing a pretty good job to take this fight and see how close he can get. He can still see the leader of the race. That's an important thing if you think you have a chance to take a win on this one. And there it is from race control. Josh Soto in the 07 given responsibility for that lap 1 incident. He's going to be given a 10-second post-race penalty. wherever his position is, add 10 to it. So that's an unfortunate penalty for Soto, who ran so well in the first race, to be hit with that here early on in race number 2.
Yeah, but you know, you think about it, Larry, in a race like this with a short 50-second lap, better to get that 10-second penalty than to have to serve a drive-through penalty here, which could be worth a heck of a lot more than just 10 seconds.
Yeah, and either way, it's not going to be good for his cause here in this race tonight. But you know, it's the way the things go. It's why you've got to stay clean all the time. And the guys that have stayed clean right now are the front of the field, and you can see it there. Jordy Fike still leading the way. David Payton second. Mike Dam third, closing quickly. And they're already looking at lap traffic potentially over in front of them. And I think that might be Prevenice, or is that Cranston?
I think they've got Cranston in the 97 machine just up ahead of them, and then Prevenice.
Yeah. So these guys will be getting there relatively quickly. These guys are putting in a pretty good fast right now. Fast laps in the low 52s, which was essentially where qualifying was at the beginning of the night. Schwenke's last time at 51.8. Fastest lap by anybody. He is flying right now.
Yeah,
just absolutely putting in the pace.
Yeah, it's still sitting in 5th position, having started back in 7th. And I'm just amazed, Larry, as we are still watching Mike Dam and Tom Moravsky battle it out as Dam gets ahead of the number 41 machine once again. And finally, it looks like the 41 has maybe dropped a little bit off of the 93. But as much as those two drivers were side by side over this 6-turn course, it allowed there you go. And looks like Cranston has pulled over to let our leaders through. You know, the fact that they had not lost any ground to David Payton was just absolutely amazed me. And it may say something more about Payton's pace than anything else.
Yeah.
But it has allowed Jordy Fike to open up a little bit of an advantage now.
Just a bit. I'm sure there's still a sniff of draft being held down there behind him, but it's helped him just a little bit sort of hold on to it. And so we're watching now, with course, Fike with that 8/10 lead. Payton, Dam, Radke, Schwenke kind of in this little bunch. And then Jeff Jacobs, and right behind him, John Allen, who's looking like he might want to be making a pass. There he is right now in the blue car to Seamless, trying to get on by the StreetSurvival.org car of Jeff Jacobs. And there he goes, is Allen down the inside through the Paddock Hill bend. And now he's got his sights set on race 1 winner, Travis Schwenke. This is amazing. 8 minutes in, he's gone from last to 6th, 17 places up in just 10 laps.
In 10 laps, yeah.
And these guys up here now,
a third of the way through this race.
All these guys in front of him are going side by side quite a bit. Finally, Mike Dam's able to make his way around David Payton, but not after they went again, slowed through a couple of corners. All that does is give somebody like a John Allen an opportunity to make up some more ground. He's 3 seconds back from these guys. He's right there. Look at him. He can see right the back of Schwenke already.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's right up on our race 1 winner, Travis Schwenke, essentially where he was for the first couple laps of race number 1 before he had that equipment issue. And of course, he's going to be able to draft up right in the pace. I'm wondering, though, as once Schwenke and Allen, I'm assuming they're going to probably start fighting for position over here, you know, if that might stop both of their charge towards the front.
I tell you what, if I'm Allen right now, you know what you've done. You know that Schwenke's got the pace. Hey, race 1 winner. He's got all kinds of pace.
Yeah.
Let the work together. Get your way around a Radke and Payton if you can find a spot, rather than fighting and just bringing yourself back into the battle of Jacob, Sancinelli, and Daniel behind you. Let these guys, work together to get in front of these other guys and see if you can take the fight to Fike and Dam out in the lead. Payton and Radke are not going to be easy passes. If you're Allen, you don't want to make that any harder. You want to maybe even get a 2-for-1. Let yourself, if you're Allen, and Schwenke try and slip underneath one of these guys at the first opportunity, rather than trying to take yourselves out just to make a single pass.
We're going to go on, and we're just on board with Edgar Sancinelli, who is our race 1 winner in the AM category, sitting behind the widest MX-5 in the business, Jeff Jacobs, in the number 38 machine. Thinking he's driving that monster-sized BMW M4 around Brands right now. But Sancinelli trying to hold off Daniel for the second.
Just wondering where his torque went.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And went from the beaver nose to the smiley face on the front of the MX-5.
Because Miatas are always happy, that's for sure.
Always happy. Wow.
Look at Allen again. Allen taking that great run off of Clark to get down the front straight, and look at him. He's able to just close a little bit further now that Schwenke seems to be taking a peek around Rathke for fourth. Not able to do it on the entry on the paddock hill, but he might have a shot here at the exit as they head up to Druids.
Yeah, and you can see there, Schwenke goes all the way down the inside. Rathke goes center of track to try and defend just a little bit, but I don't think he expected Schwenke to pull up. Oh, as John Allen now trying to take advantage of what Schwenke was doing, tries to undercut him going down into Graham Hill, and has to get back in line. But you know, maybe that whole, you know, see if we can get around Rathke and Peyton thing, maybe it's not working out so much there. It may not be John Allen's actual plan.
No, it's not. I think the plan right now is to stick with the pack and see what happens. But Mike Dam now to the lead ahead of Jordy Fike, which may make things interesting up there now between Peyton Fike and Rathke sitting in that 2, 3, and 4. But Mike Dam able to get to that lead. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you're John Allen and you're Travis Schwenke and you think that Mike Dam's going to pull away, this becomes desperation time to start the dispatch of spots. Otherwise, he's going to leave you guys with all sorts of dust and all sorts of traffic between.
Yeah, and I think that might be what. As Rathke pushes Schwenke all the way to driver's right, going into Graham Hill. To say that Rathke's getting the elbows out might be a bit of an understatement. But I think you're spot on, Larry. I think what we saw starting just a lap ago was maybe a little bit of desperation from Schwenke, that he knew he had to get the move, get the move done. Yeah. Yep,
here it comes. He's going to try it this time. You see him there, take a nice tidy line off of Clark to get down Brabham, main straight here.
And Rathke's opened up the door for him if he can get up close enough.
Yeah, because at this point, Rathke's got to block not one but two of these guys, because as we saw in the first race, sometimes the first car to make the move to the inside gets a block from the lead of the pack, but then the second car through is able to then take advantage of it and duck inside both of them. So I think that maybe what John Allen's thinking here is let Schwenke be the decoy, push Rathke off to one side, and then dive through around both of them. But boy, they're keeping it tight, but all this battling is just I'm watching Fike and Peyton out in front of them start to just inch away, but those guys are doing a good job of staying with Mike Dam.
Yeah, and as you can see here, as Rathke is having to defend corner after corner, he's starting to lose ground to Peyton, who he had been keeping very similar pace to in both race 1 and early on in race 2. And here we go once again, and now Rathke decides not to move all the way driver's left, and he's going to force Schwenke down the inside, and Schwenke gets it done.
Gives up one spot, and here comes John Allen now, who's done this before. He's going to see if he can take Rathke on the outside, and if he can hold it, that'll put him on the inside. Yep, put him on the inside of the Graham Hill bend, and just like that, Rathke unfortunately loses spots to these two heavy hitters. Great, valiant fight to hold off as long as he did, but in the end, those two guys able to move on by, as it looks like here, Steve Daniel now trying to get past Chris Thorman. So Daniel trying to stay with Sancinelli. Not able to yet. Thorman's still able to wedge between.
Yeah, and now Daniel's going to have to encounter what Edgar Sancinelli did for the majority of race number 1, where he had managed to he had gotten around Chris Thorman for all of one lap, and then spent until the very last lap. Had spent all this time trying to find his way around the number 60 machine, and finally finding a way on the very last lap. And now Steve Daniel in that very same position. But look at this, Larry, as we jump back to the battle for the lead. I somewhat expected Mike Dam to pretty much run away and hide after he'd gotten around Jordy Fike, but Fike is, I guess he has the advantage of the draft, but he is definitely staying close to the 93 machine at this point.
He's doing a good job, and that's what you need to do in this kind of a spot. If you don't think you have the raw speed, just hit the marks well enough and let the draft do the rest. I think he's doing a good job of that. Behind him, Peyton has lost just a little bit of ground. He's a half a second back, and Schwenke has closed that gap. And there you can see Travis in that 16 in the Orion car now pressuring the 64 of David Peyton. Can he make a move here? Can Schwenke do something? Not this time through Druids, but he continues to push, and he knows he's still got a John Allen just on his tail as well. All these guys keeping an eye on Mike Dam out in front to make sure he doesn't get away.
Yeah, it looked as though Allen had maybe dropped off a couple car lengths after he had managed to get around Tom Rafke. But maybe let the tires cool down just a little bit. But again, definitely staying within draft range. And you can see here he's starting to pull right back up again.
Yeah, that tire cooling thing is a good point. That may be what John Allen's doing right now, knowing what they just went through to get the pass on Rafke. He maybe let the car cool just a little bit to make a push now to get around David Payton, and then of course Jordy Fike would be the next victim in line if he could do it. Now Schwenke's going to work. He's going to try and get up on the inside. Can he make it stick into Druids? He's got the line. I think he's got the position as well, and now Allen going to try and do 2 for 1 as those two make contact. Schwenke pushing Payton to the side. Payton able to recover, but not after getting nearly to the wall.
Yeah, and so Payton managed to get that car back underway, loses a position to Tom Rafke there as well. And yeah, it looked like he was going to go all the way to the wall as those two drivers got together on the exit of Druids. And as I was watching them go through there, I thought, well, John Allen, he had some issues coming out of Druids, had run wide, had come down just a little bit through the grass, then obviously with the contact just ahead, was able to get right back up to the back of Schwenke there. Maybe, the battle just ahead of him maybe being slightly advantageous. And now we'll see what happens as John Allen is following the number 16 car. We'll see if the 16 maybe picked up a little bit of damage on that last lap.
It wasn't the biggest amount of contact, but it was just a little bit. And I almost start to wonder if maybe Payton didn't use all of the track exit on the left there coming out of Druids, heading down the Graham Hill Straight. And when he didn't go as wide, but Schwenke expected him to, that might have been how they came to contact. Yeah. I don't know that the stewards are even going to bother looking at that one, but it was a tight squeeze. Every passer on this place is tight squeeze, but it looks like Schwenke and Allen were both able to get on by. Now they've got their sight set on Fike, who is now fallen a full second behind Mike Dam. So this is where now Allen and Schwenke have to almost work together to not lose any further ground if they think they have a shot to win this race. Yeah,
and so as we said, that we thought Fike was doing pretty good holding on to the back of Mike Dam. There was one lap, I guess it was 2 laps ago, where he had a little bit of a bobble, and you can see there is dropped maybe just out of the draft range and really into the sights of both Schwenke and Allen, as we were just about 2/3 of the way through this 30-minute race.
Yeah, Fike has definitely lost the draft. You can see right here, again, losing about 2 or 3 tenths on this lap alone. And you can see the Schwenke now gaining quickly, just that 9 tenths gap now behind Fike, which gives him the draft. You watch Schwenke's last lap time this time by should be a very low 52 if I were to guess. As he goes there to 52.7 for Fike and a 52.1 for Schwenke. Yeah, they're gaining quickly on that 6 tenths gain. This is going to be awfully close. The question then will be, can Schwenke and Allen make the pass? And if they do, can they make any dent into Mike Dam's now growing lead?
As you can see there is Mike Dam now with almost a 1.8, almost a 1.9 second advantage now over Jordy Fike, starting to walk away from Fike and the rest of the field. As again, we are just about 2/3 of the way through our final race here. Mike Dam, your leader; Jordy Fike, Travis Schwenke, your top 3 in the pro category. In the AM category, Edgar Sancinelli, your leader; Steve Daniel running in second, and then a very distant third right now is Jose Gonzalez in the number 83 machine, in that Not a Team Racing machine. Your winner from the last round at Phillip Island, and just has not had the pace here tonight.
Yeah, I just wonder if he didn't quite get the practice run this circuit. Not the most widely used circuit on the platform. We saw him really strong at the last 3 rounds, taking wins as he makes his appearance in the Ricmotech series this season for the first time. Just came on strong, but I'm wondering if maybe this just isn't one of his strong tracks. And right now, it's just kind of salvaging points tonight to try and not to fall any further back. But I'm sure he won't be quiet for long. We'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks at the next round as we move back into this battle for second. Jordy Fike just going to be clinging to this as we get to the 20-minute mark. 10 minutes to go now. Mike Dam out in front comfortably. Fike now desperately trying to hang on to a podium with Schwenke and Allen, the 200 drivers behind him.
And here we go as Travis Schwenke tries to come underneath The 09 machine of Fike did not get quite close enough as they go in the Druids. But I think Jordy Fike knows the writing is on the wall at this point. As I was just was wondering a little bit further up ahead as Mike Dam was coming up on the Craney Customs machine of Jeff Cranston, how Cranston was going to handle that. And it looks like Cranston's let our leader through.
Yeah, and that's right now all that Mike Dam can ask for is to just not get slowed up too much by traffic and let these guys behind him fight it out. I can tell you it's a fight. All three of these guys separated by about 2/10. There's going to be a move here. Either there's going to be a pass or someone's going to end up with a sad ending to their night. Right now, this pass looks like Schwenke on the inside and nearly contacted Allen. I think he stayed clear.
Yeah, as Allen was trying to decide whether or not he should go down the inside, follow Schwenke through, or whether he should take maybe a more traditional entry, and he was kind of caught between the two choices there as Schwenke now takes over second position from Jordy Fike, dropped the 09 car back in the third, and John Allen carrying a heck of a lot more speed than the 09 car coming through Graham Hill, just can't do anything with it.
I'm surprised that Allen didn't just go side by side right down the Cooper Straight and try to just stay on the inside of Clark. He waits. He's going to make his move now around the Brabham Straight. You can see he gets a great run off that last corner. We'll see if he can push Doherty to the inside as they come up to the Paddock Hill bend.
Yeah, and that's what he's tried to do, but only up to the quarter panel. Let's see here as they go through and down the hill side by side, but once again from that outside lane, John Allen with a lot of pace, and we'll see if he can make the pass.
Oh, and contact there.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there. John Allen, drivers right front into the left rear of the 09 machine. So for the moment, not only is the 09 machine of Fike going to hold on to third position, but Tom Rathke has now made his way around John Allen, kind of picking up the pieces from that contact there. So the 41 machine now up into fourth, John Allen sitting back in fifth.
Yeah, good opportunity there for Rathke to be alert and look for that, stay clean, and duck to the inside there to try and get around the slowing John Allen. Allen, though, now on the recovers. We flash back to the leader. You get the leader there in the yellow and white. That would be Edgar Sancinelli in the Frito Sport car, and he's got on his inside Rob Hartley, who's just gone around him. Hartley, again, who started this race so well up in the front, and then quickly moved back with the contact with Josh Soto, but he's making his way on through. In front of him, of course, Jeff Jacobs, our pre-race interview, and then, of course, David Payton in front of this whole train. The class battle, though, is there. That's the 57 of Sancinelli. And then Steve Daniel, 2 cars back. These two, first and second in the first race in the AM category. Again, running first and second here in the second race.
And you can see that Daniel's having issues there trying to get around Chris Thorman. Thorman, a thorn in the side of the AM category drivers in race 1. It was Edgar Sancinelli in race 2. Certainly Steve Daniel. And now coming down, let's see, as Jeff Jacobs tries to hold off the advance of Robert Hartley.
Getting out full beachfront property there for Hartley. It's the way you got to drive that corner here at Brands Hatch. Use every inch of that exit curbing there. Use it extra here. Use it around the Graham Hill bend. All kinds of crazy track limits around this place, or lack thereof.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, this isn't exactly Austria, as you alluded to earlier. That painted white stripe coming off of Graham Hill Bend may as well be black pavement. There is actually an off-track line out there somewhere per the sim. You don't know where it is. It's near the grass edge. It's about 3 car widths wide.
Yeah, and I know that there's one because I ran into it last night. As you go through the grass, there is a little bit of a cut, a little bit of an angle heading back to the track. And if you're still out there when you get to that little cutoff there, then you pick up the 1X. As we continue to watch here, as now Hartley tries to come down the inside of the 38 machine. And this time going through Druids, looks like he's going to get the pass done. And Sancinelli looking very racy, tries to follow Hartley on through. Unfortunately, maybe just a little bit too far back. But look at Hartley now as he's trying to make the pass on the 64 machine of Peyton.
Yeah, with Preventus, the laps car, also now in the mix of it. He's able to pull to the side as they come to the McLaren crossover. luckily able to stay out of the way of these battles. And this is pretty intense because Santinelli, he really doesn't want to see what's happening right now, which is Steve Daniel getting a run inside of Thorman. So put Daniel now on track right behind his chief rival Santinelli.
Well,
For the time being.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a done deal yet,
It's
Larry.
definitely not. Wow. Oh, until now.
Well, now it may be as the 60 machine runs wide coming through paddock, and that is going to move Santinelli up into 9th place. It's going to move Steve Daniel up into 10th place overall, and now right back behind Edgar Santinelli. And I'll tell you, just a lap ago, Santinelli had to check up something mighty. Because just ahead of him, Jeff Jacobs in the number 38 machine got all crossed up in this little section here, the little crossover road at McLaren. And it was right then and there that we saw both Thorman and Daniel pull right up behind the 57 machine. But he's been able to stretch that back out, at least for now.
Santinelli still, able to just hang on to it with the battle set in front of him. The overall leader, Mike Dam, still now with inside of 4 minutes, about 3.5 minutes to go in this race with a pretty comfortable lead. Travis Schwenke second, Jordy Pike still in third, but John Allen closing. About a second back from him. He was able to dispatch Tom Rafke a few laps ago, so see if Allen can make a run here in the last 3 minutes on Fike. But down further in the pack, we talked about Rob Hartley, had that good starting position in the lap 1 incident. He's back to 6th. The other one in that fight was Josh Soto. He's currently in 10th in Pro, 12th overall. And remember, he's got a 10-second post-race penalty coming that could move him down a spot or two.
Down another spot or two, exactly. And I was just, as we had the shot just a little while ago of Hartley and David Payton in the 64 machine, I thought that Payton had maybe fallen off of Hartley's pace by this point, but he's got a pretty nice little fight going on here with Hartley. And look at this as Cranston pulls the car all the way into the grass.
Hey, he's doing a good job tonight. Sometimes at a track like this, you've got to really be paying attention. It's great to see somebody even having like an off night, not having his typical fast night, recognizing that and saying, hey, let me just get out of the way of these guys, let the battle rage on. And there goes Hartley down the inside of the other lap car there, Russ Ruddock. Hartley still in 6th, but man, Payton is definitely keeping it close, as well as Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, Jacobs now in that yellow and with black stripe number 38 machine. And he's got Santinelli, our AM category leader, directly behind him, and Steve Daniel, of course, there in that bronze and I don't know, what do we call that stripe? Green stripe MX-5 right behind him. So very, very tight, close running
almost
here.
Almost an aquamarine.
Yeah, I guess, bronze and aquamarine. I guess that would be it. Now here we go. Let's jump back, Larry. This is the battle for the last step on the podium for 3rd, with John Allen, who's now worked his way back up to the rear of the Team Esport Racer 09 machine, as we have just about 1 minute left to go on the clock. Our leader, you can see him there cresting the top of the hill, Mike Dam, starting what should be
two laps to go, I believe, right?
Yep, should be the penultimate lap. Should be one more lap after this, as John Allen going to try and take that outside run in the Druid and see if he can undercut the 09 machine. Not able to do it here.
Yeah, Allen's glad to see there's 2 laps to go, because I think he might need all of it to try and make a move on Fike. Fike, great run here tonight. I know that he started the second race after taking the transfer spot in the first race. Started this one on the front row, on the pole. Done a tremendous job to stay in the fight here and to give himself a shot at a podium as we wind down the last lap and a half. We should be seeing white flag this time by. There's that white flag.
And there it is. White flag in the air for Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing Machine. And now John Allen, he's going to step to the outside. And Larry, I've seen John Allen make this move, try this move many times and not able to get it done this time, and it's a little early to say. Now I can say that he does.
George, I think he's done it.
He's done it, but I was comparing that to Schwenke, who in most cases going through paddock was taking the inside line, trying to go underneath cars, and seemed to have a much better a much better success rate, I will say, than John Allen.
Yeah, and maybe what Schwenke was doing, Schwenke was able to push people around, push them into a bad outside line. He's able to take the inside as they come up the Druids. Allen there able to take the advantage of the faster outside line and take the podium spot. But taking the win, Mike Dam, after starting this race in 4th, taking the victory there for Orion Racing.
All right, here we go. And coming up and across the line, finishing 2nd, is going to be his teammate, Travis Schwenke, finishing on the last step of the podium. Seamless Racing's John Allen, who gets around Jordy Fike on the very last lap. Fike will finish in 4th, but great run for him, having started on the outside of the front row. Tom Rathke will come home in 5th. Robert Hartley, good recovery, great recovery drive for him, will finish in 6th position. David Payton 7th, Jeff Jacobs 8th. Chris Thorman will finish 9th in Pro, and Josh Soto 10th in Pro. And if we take a look at the AM category, Edgar Santinelli will take the win. Steve Daniel will come home in 2nd. Jose Gonzalez finishes 3rd tonight. Mike Taylor 4th. Nick Parsono 5th. John Casey, Greg Brockway, Russ Ruddick, Patrick Pavenis, Michael Key, rounding out the top 10 in the AM category. All right, so Larry, why don't we quickly take another break? We'll thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here tonight from Brands Hatch, where you have just seen both round 6 and round 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And we're back here at Brands Hatch, the Indy circuit, where we've just seen round 6 and 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, it looks like we've got a couple folks that are queued up in the green room, waiting to talk to not to me, because they know I can't hold interviews, but waiting to talk to you. So why don't we do this? Why don't we bring in John Allen, driver of the number 101 Seamless Racing Machine, pulls out the last step on the podium on the very last lap tonight.
All right, John Allen has joined us. And John, before we get into the exciting performance you put on in race 2, just let me know, was that a sim rig issue in race 1 that put you in a position to start the second race on the back row?
That was a kind of a hardware issue, I guess. I don't know. I've had some problems with screens going black a couple times this season, and at Sebring, I think to start the year, there might have been another that didn't. Oh, there was one at Watkins that didn't result in a wreck, but then this one in race 1 sadly happened again. So I've got to get that sorted. But it was up to me.
What a recovery then. In race 2, you start in the back, 20 position improvement from 23rd to 3rd, not without some excitement. Tell me about your work way through the field and finally to the podium spot.
Well, sometimes you ask us who we'd like to thank tonight. I think I'd like to thank the netcode tonight because it was being very, very chivalrous with me and Tom and me and Jordy there, and even Travis and I. In the first race, I got into him a little bit in turn one under braking, and thankfully didn't turn him around. But yeah, it was all very realistic. A little Rubbins racing without ruining anybody's day or locking us together and putting us off track.
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, I saw a couple there in front of you, Travis, having the one there with Tom, and then you tend to use a lot of the grass there, especially coming out of Druids, but able to hang on to it. Are you looking in front of you to see not to fall too far behind? Are you worried about that? Or are you just worried about the car in front of you and making the next pass?
For most of those spots, it was well. The first lap was just experience in real traffic, racing things like Spec Me Out, and just finding the gaps and sneaking through. But after that, it was, if the gap is there to make a conventional pass, great. But towards the end, had to solely be based on 1, 2, maybe 3 laps of build up and the hopes that those in front would fight and then pick who I want to follow through. And most of the time it worked. A couple times it didn't. And actually cost me a spot once or twice, but it was just fantastic racing those guys.
Yeah, Tom and Jordy put up great fights up there. Those guys were super strong tonight, as was obviously Travis and Mike and the typical Orion guys doing their thing. But pretty exciting to watch tonight, and I'm sure you'll at least treasure this one for maybe a bit of an asterisk. Not a win tonight, but certainly one of your better performances.
Yeah, I'll treasure the second race. The first is kind of a what if. I felt like I had a lot of pace and clearly there was a big pack stayed together with Josh and Mike, Robert, Travis, and I would love to have been the 5th in that party, but just wasn't to be. So we made the most of race 2.
Yep, absolutely. Well, great job tonight, picking up the pieces, getting yourselves on the podium in race number 2, and it's great to see that kind of performance. That was exciting. Definitely one for the folks to go back and watch that maybe we'll miss it. So, John, congrats on the podium tonight. We'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right, there you go. John Allen finishing 3rd tonight from Seamless Racing, driver of the number 101 machine. Larry, let's bring in now Travis Schwenke. Travis took the win in race number 1 and finished just off the top step of the podium in race number 2, driver of the number 16 Orion Racing MX-5.
Travis Schwenke. Travis, let's first talk about race 1, flag to flag, but not without some side-by-sides and a lot of mirror driving perhaps. Tell me a little bit about your first race.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of mirror driving. It was, I just had to make the conscious decision to not give up an inside corner, not miss an apex, and just try to be as smooth as possible and save it because I knew they'd get runs. It's just it's really hard to lead here with everyone's so close in time. So I just had to position my car well and try to do my best to stay out front the whole time. So I knew it'd be hard to get by if they got around me. So, and I knew it'd probably be a freight train too if I got out of position. So
yeah. Well, then we get to the second race where, of course, you start the second race in 7th with the inverted order there, and you kind of hung there for a while. What we were watching was Mike Dam had a great start, was able to get up, start fighting for the lead. But on the flip side, Josh and Rob had their coming together, and suddenly they're out of that mix. What was your strategy there? Is it survive the first couple laps, or were you actually just, are we actually trying to move up and just not able to at that point?
I was going to follow Rob through when Rob had that inside position in turn 3, and when Soto and he touched, Rob got in a little hot. Soto came down, didn't give him a ton of room. It was really close. And when they touched and Rob spun, I had to brake. I would have slammed right into Rob's door. So I slowed down, and then it was a freight train around both sides of me. So I think I lost probably 4 or 5 positions right there, and then had to make those back up as well.
Well, it was a great job there, and because the battle out in front of you was moving at a pretty good pace there with Jordy and Tom out there. I think the other might have been, was it Thorman or somebody was up there, or Peyton, I guess it was,
Dave, yeah.
Running pretty good lap times up in the front. Mike took a while to get around him. It give you an opportunity to get through, and I know that you had John on your heels there for most of that run through the pack.
Yeah, and definitely David. I'm sorry we touched there. I don't know. I have to go back and look and see exactly what happened there. I knew he was on the outside. I was trying to give enough room. I don't know if it was netcode or what, but David put up a great defense, and And I know Mike, was behind him as well, trying to set him up. And it probably took me 5-6 laps to finally figure out where I could get a run and what I needed to happen for that run to work out. And great driving by Dave there, and held me off for quite a while until I could get by. And same with Tom. I was kind of mad at Tom in my mirror. I'm like, you should have made it harder on John to get by. It's like I got through and John got right away through because Tom was doing the same thing Dave was, running really good, consistent lap times and hitting all the apexes. So it just makes it really hard to pass.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch. Great battles here tonight. But you did manage to get victory in the first race and followed it up with a podium and second place in the second race. Top performance, great way to pick up some much needed points here in this tight battle that you have going on with Rob and these guys. So for this performance tonight, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Definitely thank my teammates and the whole Orion team. Great to have them around to throw ideas off of and work on where we need to be faster and work together there. Definitely Extreme for this league. It's a great league. Really good to see all that good hard racing and really very minimal contact between people. Just shows all the respect that people have in the league. So great to be here and run this hard with people.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, a lot of respectful racing happening tonight, and what a great show it was. So congrats, Travis, on a couple of podiums, and one of those being on the top step in that victory in race 1. So congrats, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Travis Schwenke, driver the number 16 Orion Motorsports entry, our winner tonight in race number 1, finishing just off the top step in race number 2. But Larry, let's now finally go to somebody who's seen the top step on the podium 2 times tonight, your winner in the AM category, and I think stretching out his lead in the championship, driver the number 57 Frito Sport Racing MX-5, Edgar Sanchinelli.
Edgar, tonight, a win in round 1 or win in round 2. You backed it up. Tell me a little bit about your night tonight.
Oh, it was pretty crazy. I'm still kind of in shock that it happened, and these guys, the racecraft was great. It's always so much fun to race here, but yeah, I feel pretty good about these ones.
Yeah, you're right in there with that mix. You had Chris Thorman in there with you, I think, in both races. And of course, Steve Daniel, your rival there in the M category. Steve, I think, pretty much lives in the trunk of your MX-5 at this point. He was back there so much during these 2 races. Are you watching that? Are you recognizing Steve's the rival and he's the guy you're trying to get somebody between you? Or are you just fighting for every position you can get?
Oh, definitely. This far into the season, I know Steve's going to be right there. And yeah, when the faster guys were coming through, that was the main goal, was to see if I could let somebody by, because I didn't want to fight them and try to keep Steve behind me. And it was really good racing. But yeah, definitely he was there tapping my bumper a couple times, and man, I was sweating bullets here.
Well, awesome job. Victory in your class twice in one night is nearly impossible. It's so difficult to do. You managed to pull that off, extending your points lead. And the points aren't updated yet. I'm sure they will be here in a few minutes. But at this point, we know you're still going to be leading the AM category coming in. Does this mean a lot to you to be at this position of the season, to be leading that? Is this, obviously it's always your goal to win your season, your points, but what does this mean to you still with a couple of races to go to be in this position?
Oh, it means a lot. We're a pretty small team here, and we started racing for fun here with these guys on the Frito Sport team, and I can't thank those guys enough, and also Aeronom for helping me out at times. And yeah, hope to deliver something for the whole team. At the end of the season, I'd like to bring a P1 to the whole teem.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, the Frito Sport outfit. You got a lot of drivers on that team now running, and a great way to mention another great driver, Aeronom. We'll take him back in these series anytime he wants to come back for sure. But Edgar, congrats tonight. Anybody else you want to give a shout out or thanks to?
Yeah, I got to thank my friends and family, but also I love Sim Racing Designs, Premium GTP, Evan's Setup Shop, and our crew racing. So thanks to all those people. Thanks. Awesome. And you guys as well, great series, and you guys are awesome in the booth.
Well, appreciate that. You definitely got a good team working with you, producing victories there for Frito Sport Racing. So Edgar, congrats on the double victories here tonight, and let's see what the points look like when they're updated.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, thanks.
All right, there you go. Edgar Sanchinelli, give it up to this man taking the win in both round 6 and 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Classic Sprint Series. All right, so Larry, as we get ready to wrap things up, of course, want to ask everybody, if you like what you saw here tonight, please go ahead and give us that big thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to Apex Racing TV so you can find out about some of the greatest virtual motorsports all around the world, seemingly 24/7. But let's look at the Ricmotech events that we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next week, next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be round number 5 of the sports car series. Those are our GT4 and TCR drivers. We're going to be at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Always some exciting action there at Madness. All right, in 2 weeks, the Classic Sprint Series, our MX5 racers, as you've just seen here tonight, they're going to be heading to my home track, and I am so happy to see the series come to just outside of Washington, D.C., and the Summit Point Motorsports Park, Summit Point Raceway, for round number 8 of the series. You don't want to miss that, if only because I actually know what I'm talking about for once. And then finally, be sure to join us August 22nd. It's a couple of weeks out now, where we're going to have our opening round of the Ricmotech World Challenge. Those are our LMP2 and also GT3 drivers. We don't have the location yet for that starting round, but stay tuned. Keep checking back with all of our series, and we'll have more information.
Are we
as
really
it
that
comes
close
available.
to that coming back? People got to get signed up. What are they waiting for?
That is right. So, and if you go to XMS Racing, the brand new Extreme Motorsports website, xmsracing.com, you can sign up and race in the World Challenge as well. Again, LMP2 drivers and GT3 drivers, always needed, always wanted. So again, xmsracing.com. All right, so want to thank, as always, Jonathan Grabowski, Dennis Branch behind the scenes, of course, Larry Lefty McLeod, and I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we will see you next Monday night, 8 p.m. from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a great week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.